Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the conversation, especially the latest as regards the state of the Nigerian nation and developments arising from the recent cases of abductions and attacks that we've had in some part of the country. The Eruku attack in Kwara State, where 38 persons were abducted, we learned they have been returned. They have been, according to how it was posted, they are being rescued. And I just asking so many questions. If actually they have been rescued, okay, what happened? Were the abductors neutralized? Was there any apprehension? Was there payment of ransom? Or Nigerians should just make their peace with the rescue thing? And then the abduction of 38 or 24 students in Kebbi State, actually girls from Danko Wasagu local government, the hundreds of children that were abducted at St. Mary Catholic Institution in Papiri in Niger State, and what the state is doing about that. Now, yesterday on the program, we spoke to a professor and, of course, a general, a retired General Chris Olukolade, and the professor, Professor Iso Jeremu, that talked about, the implication of these abductions on our education. Now, yesterday, the closure of schools, it seems to be the new thing now in the north. The Bauchi state government has closed down every institution in the state, both private and public, both tertiary and, elementary schools, primary, secondary school, our institutions. The day before, it was the turn of Kebbi State, who closed down all the schools as well, except the State School of Nursing in Breeding Kebbi, and that we don't know why that was left. So, and we asked yesterday, the motto or the aim of at least the Boko Haram, where I say Western education is haram, it means is a taboo, is not accepted, is bad, and the ideology, is it not what is being fulfilled now? Kebbi has closed down schools, all the schools. Bauchi has followed suit, all the schools. In some part of Niger State, all the schools have been closed. What does that mean? Now, we understand there is a bilateral agreement between the U.S. government and the Nigerian government. And of course, we'd like to look into that today, where the federal government delegation, on that U.S. official trip has said there has been a strengthening of security partnership. And discussions and engagement held last week between a high-level Nigerian delegation and U.S. officials will help strengthen security partnership between the two countries and open new avenues for cooperation to protect Nigerian citizens. By the way, you will recall the alleged, invasion, that's what is being called, of Nigeria by the U.S. government, where they said they will come. President Trump said it's going to come gun blazing, with the Department of War and take out these Islamic insurgents because of targeted killings against Christians. So the Nigerian government raised a high-power delegation to go and have conversation with the U.S. government. So the fallout is what we are having right now. And the delegation was led by the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, who met with senior officials across the U.S. Congress and the White House Faith Office, the State Department, the National Security Council, and the Department of War. Now, in all engagements in Washington, D.C., the Nigerian delegation refuted allegations of genocide in Nigeria, emphasizing that violent attacks affect families and communities, and the delegation strongly rejected wrongful framing of the situation, saying such would only divide Nigerians and distort the realities on the ground. And following this engagement, the United States government affirmed its readiness to deepen security cooperation with Nigeria. This includes enhanced intelligence support, expedited processing of defense equipment requests, and the potential provision of excess defense articles subject to availability to reinforce ongoing operations against terrorist and violent extremist groups. And the United States also expresses willingness to extend complementary support, including humanitarian assistance to affected populations in the Middle Belt. Now, very instructive is this particular paragraph, where it was said that both countries agreed to implement immediately a non-binding cooperation framework, and to establish a joint working group to ensure a unified and coordinated approach to the agreed areas of corruption and all of those things. Now, let me quickly add that the U.S. government, in a kind of way, according to information available on, the U.S. Department of War page on X, what they released was readout of Secretary of War Pete Hexet's meeting with Federal Republic of Nigeria National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, Assistant to the Secretary of War for Public Affairs and Senior Advisor Sean Parnell provided the following readout, and I think it's instructive to say that on November 20, Secretary of War Pete Hexet welcomed a delegation of security leaders from the Federal Republic of Nigeria led by the NSA Nuhu Ribadu to the Pentagon, and both leaders discussed ways to make tangible progress on stopping violence against Christians in Nigeria and combating West African jihadist terrorist groups. Secretary Hexet emphasized the need for Nigeria to demonstrate commitment and take both urgent and enduring action to stop violence against Christians, and conveyed the department's desire to work by, with, and through Nigeria to deter and degrade terrorists that threaten the Nigerian state. That was all the U.S. Department of War released from their own end. But then from the Nigerian end, it was quite voluminous. So when you look at both contexts, does that mean whatever they are saying is in sync? We have, a security consultant, an analyst with us who is going to make a sense of the discussion this morning, especially these U.S.-Nigeria bilateral agreement in fighting, the jihadists, as the Department of War in the U.S. has called it. Dr. Chuks Maha, he joins us this morning virtually. Doctor, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the honor and the pleasure of joining the program.
Right, and I think you heard me. It's quite voluminous, but I think it's instructive to put both contexts there. That is what the Nigerian delegation has said, that, okay, we now have an understanding. The U.S. will provide these, and these, and then the Nigerian state refuted so many allegations, and now we have an agreement, non-binding agreement from the Nigerian end. But the U.S. have said, okay, your delegation was here, and we have agreed to work together with you to take out these people. That was much about what they said. What will you make of this agreement? Do you think we have an headway now from both ends of the narratives?
Let me put it this way in practical terms. I'm sick, I'm ill. I have cause to go to the hospital. I meet with the doctor. But I refuse to tell the doctor what is wrong with me. Can I get better? The answer is no. Irrespective of what the doctor tries, since I have refused to tell him or her what is wrong with me. And that's the thing. When you go down for prognosis or diagnosis, that is the issue. That's one. You pour you pour water into a container, let's assume a 100 cl container, and you pour in 50 cl into it. The glass is probably just pour half of the content into it on the bottle. Two people will look at it and they look at it from two different angles. Is it half full or half empty? Semantics. We need to call a spade a spade. Have we admitted as a people we have a problem? First and foremost in Nigeria, security is localized. I want to start by saying that one. America was seeing us from afar, seeing what we are going through, and is trying to assist, as it were, quote and unquote, for vested reasons or whatever reasons they are, either humanitarian or for business interests they have in Nigeria. But the fact remains, have we accepted we have a problem in Nigeria? If the answer is yes, are we willing to get our problem solved? That is the second question. Are we willing? Do we have the political might to agree we have this problem and we shall do everything to resolve the problem? If having answered these three questions in the affirmative, then we can resolve the problem. But if we do not answer it in the affirmative, we are just wasting our time going round and round in circles. Irrespective of whether America or whichever foreign country is trying to assist us, we'll keep on going round and round. So we need to get our acts together. First and foremost, the three tiers of government, the legislative, the judicial, and the executive must come together and agree. And that's it. And what are we agreeing on? We have a problem. Secondly, are we now looking for help to solve this problem? Are we ready to solve it? If the answers are all in affirmative, we can go about it. Now, the truth of the matter, yes, America is volunteering to assist. In what capacity is what we need to ask. in what capacity, and that's it. I am of the opinion we have the strength, the American strength of the army, if we are ready to do it. The question is, are we patriotic to fight for Nigeria? That's the thing, because we have moles in all our agencies. When I'm talking of agencies, I'm not just talking of the military, all security agencies in government, in legislative arms, everywhere. In addition, we have moles. Even in the citizenry, we have moles. So we need to ensure patriotism is the key word here. And that's where the Ministry of the National Orientation Agency comes into being. We need to be patriotic. We need to sing a new song. Having come up with all that, Mr. President and his entire cabinet will come out and tell us, and especially with the security agencies, the service chiefs, this is the new act, the Route Act we're reading out. It's either you work and you stay, or if you fail, you leave. And this time, it's not just only for the service chiefs. Everybody who is a redneck and above will be flushed out. Because you could be a service chief, you want to work, and your immediate subordinate frustrates you, hoping that when you leave, he or she takes over. No, that will not be the case. Everybody in that cadre will leave. Retirement without benefits. So we need to ensure everybody works, put their hands on deck to flush this business out. Now we've been clamoring, we said on this program before, in your program here, all the northern governors must come together to first agree. That's the first front. The second one, all governors will come together, because as it is, it's going everywhere. So if you think you're a governor, you believe, oh, it's happening in northeast, northwest, north central, oh, you're away from it, you're into a big joke. If it affects A, it's going to affect B. Because the impetus to which guys are growing up is getting very fast. The speed at which they are growing and spreading is geometric. And the way the security agencies are going is not even arithmetic, it's less than that. We cannot catch up or cope up unless there's a joint effort, a joint collaboration, a synergy between the security agents and the people to combat this menace. And that's the first we must agree upon. Now, the narrative which is going on, which is, I don't know why we're pushing this narrative. Oh, genocide on Christians. It's not a genocide on Christians. It's a genocide on Nigerians. That's the first thing we should take off. It's not a Christian thing. It's a Nigerian thing. Because this thing is happening. Deaths are being taken up. When death comes, it's not labeled Christian, Muslim, or Buddhist. No. Nigerians are dying. Nigerians are dying. Our brothers and sisters are dying in different parts of the country. So I want that narrative to change. To me, it's not a genocide on Christians, but it's a genocide on Nigerians. They are doing a cleansing of getting rid of the population who are standing in their way, irrespective of which religious order or being you are being. Because to start with, if you're talking about genocide on Christians, who are these guys? Are they Muslims? Are they practicing Muslims? That is another thing. Because the question is, my knowledge, I've read the Quran, the English version of the Quran anyway, and what is Islam all about? It's all about peace. So if that is the idea of what Islam is all about, then why do the killings? Why terrorizing people? Because these people are terrorists. If it means Mr. President is going to bring in hard hands, if he believes there's some complicity or compromise in the military, please let him do so. Hard hands are made by mercenaries, and there'll be a contract. They do the job, the dirty job, they go out when they finish. But we need to checkmate this menace. And that is the thing. So first and foremost, patriotism, and we must agree we have a problem, and we must agree we want to resolve this problem to get us clean up. So I'll stop here, Femi.
All right, Dr. Maha, let's talk about this non-binding cooperation framework. When you look at it, what does it signal to you about the state of the U.S.-Nigeria relations? Is it just a diplomatic gesture? Is it a make-up approach just to douse the tension in the country, just to bring down the dust, that has been raised in the country in the past few, weeks to a month now? Or is it going to really bring about a drastic change in our security architecture?
Well, it's a mixture of everything. Let us go way back in history and why America might be. We do not really know. We're not in the head of Donald Trump. It's like playing chess, as it would seem. First and foremost, Nigeria is the biggest market for every international country. When I'm talking of foreign country, whether it's America, Britain, China, Russia, everything, Nigeria is the biggest market. So whatever happens to Nigeria will definitely affect their markets in terms of exports, imports. Exports coming from their own country, coming out, and we importing things there. It will affect their gross income. That is the first thing. So if anything is affecting your major customer, you are interested in why that customer or client of yours has an issue. in a bid to ensure that customer or client of yours is okay to continue to patronize you. That is the first one. Secondly, we all know that Nigeria, whether anybody in the world likes it or not, we are indeed a player. We may not be an active player, but indeed we are a passive player. We need Nigeria in the balance of power in the world, because Nigerians, by their nature, not only are we vocal, but our presence is well noted. So there's a host of other reasons which America, as it were, is interested in us. Don't forget, in the American interplay there in America, most of the intellectuals in America are from Nigeria. So for crying out loud, they remember their home states. So pressure will come from their place of abode there on what's happening in their home front or country of origin. That's another thing again. Well, diplomatic-wise, when you talk of diplomacy, yes, America has interest here in Nigeria. There's no way about it, no kidding about it. But what amount of interest they may have may not be known or fully disclosed to you and I, except maybe some other persons in certain quarters. But I love the gesture. Already, what America has said by pronouncement, even if nothing has physically been done yet, has sent in shivers into the security architecture of this country already. We're already beginning to look inwards before the final blow comes. But we need to understand, you and I may not be privy, or are not privy as to, let's speak down, to the nitty-gritty details of this bilateral agreements, the U.S.-Nigeria relationship, on how we can go about solving this menace now. Because nothing is free. Security is expensive. It comes at a cost. The cost may either be numeric in terms of financial, or with human lives. And that's it. There is a cost factor associated with it. So we need to look at it, but earlier we look at it, the better. And of course, let us see which way we can go about getting these issues resolved.
Dr. Maha, I was even talking about this with respect to Nigeria, not even the U.S. now, because it seems like Nigeria is the one who's desperate for a change in narrative, who's desperate for wading in by international players now to help, probably, you know, in this situation. So I'm asking, do you think that it's something Nigeria is all out for and serious about at this time, or it's just something to, you know, play to the gallery, or a make-up approach, just so that Nigerians or the ruse, you know, would douse down?
Well, we can't really say everything is all at the doorstep of the president. When I'm talking about the president, I'm talking about the presidency, His Excellency, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and his immediate executives, because only he alone cannot play that card. Now, why I use the word presidency? I mean, he's the final person who takes the decision. His decision makers are with him, and I pray they advise him positively with the pros and the cons, and that comes from the NSA's office. But the question here, we should all remember that nobody is bigger than the country called Nigeria, and that the president should consider the fact that whatever decision he's going to take must be in the best interest of Nigeria as a country and the people called Nigerians, and not any individuals per se. Now, the issue of seriousness here will only come. Not too long ago, there was a rejig in the cabinet in terms of the security agencies, where service chiefs were changed. No matter how many times you choose to change the service chiefs, it doesn't change anything. The question is the mandate you are giving to them to serve. What is the mandate? And that brings me to the final aspect of the talk. The president must read a route act, and they always sign their resignation paper ahead of time. You perform, fine, you stay on. If you don't perform, you and all your cohorts are gone. That's it. It's simple. And this should be televised. We should see, not under closed doors. We must see, Nigerians must know what's going on. That is the only way we can close the gap. This is synergy between the government, the security agents, and the people who you think you're trying to protect. And that's the thing. We must see that there is sincerity. We must see that, because the issue of trust is another problem here. There's a big issue. We know that slogan which goes, you see something, you do something, you cannot do something, say something. That issue of saying something when you cannot do it is a big fundamental question. People are refusing to talk because these terrorists, bandits, or insurgents, any name you choose to call them, are no spirits. They come in and they go. You cannot see a mass amount of movement of persons, either human beings in trailers or motorbikes, in cars, tanks, and tell me nobody has seen them. People see them every day. Where did they get their fueling from? So that is a name. Where did they get their food from? So people see these things, but nobody talks. Why? Trust issues, fear of reprisals. If I say something, the very person whom I'm telling to might divulge the information, it will leak, it will counter, and they come after me. That's the reason. So Mr. President should now create an enabling situation where information, what we call in security language, intels, are not only sent in, get into the right hands, and they act on it upon verification immediately. Any attack on anybody, just like what the Americans do, an attack on a U.S. citizen anywhere in the world is an attack on America. America will spend its last penny to protect its own citizens anyway. But are we ready as a country to do that? What is the meaning of life in Nigeria? Does life have any value? For now, none. Until we change that narrative here in this country, coming from the National Assembly, coming up to say, yes, Nigerians have value. The life of a Nigerian is worth this. And we begin to sit up. Is it until when one of them are attacked or loses somebody close to them before they sit up? No. Closing down schools doesn't solve a problem. That's not the issue problem. They are winning the game if you close down schools. That's what they're trying to do. But the issue is, what are we doing to get rid of them? And when I talk of getting rid of them, not to price them out of the country, get rid of them physically. That is it. Close the borders, all that, get them trapped up, smoke them out, and do the needful.
All right.
It's a thing we're going to do.
All right. Now, Doctor, this delegation to the U.S. was led by, the NSA, Nuhuri Badu. We understand members of the delegation. The AGF was there, Lateef Fagbemi, Kayode Egbetokun, the IGP, Olufemi Olatunbosun, that's the Chief of the Defense Staff, and Lieutenant General Emmanuel Parker Oduande, that's the Chief of Defense Intelligence, Ambassador Ibrahim Babani, Director of Foreign Relations at the Office of the National Security Advisor. So it looks like a high-powered delegation. But one would say, why that was happening? Why was there no Minister of Defense there, either the Minister 1 or 2, either Badaru or Matawale, that on one side. All right. Now, when you check the statement released by the Nigerian government, they said in all engagement in Washington, D.C., the Nigerian delegation refuted allegations of genocide in Nigeria. Line by line, I want us to take note of that. The Nigerian delegation refuted allegations of genocide in Nigeria, emphasizing that violent attacks affect families and communities across religious and ethnic lines. The delegation strongly rejected wrongful framing of the situation, saying such a word will only divide Nigerians and distort the realities on the ground. Now, looking at that particular frame from the Nigerian end. Now, so what does that say when the NSA-led team is saying there is no genocide in Nigeria? Using their word, they didn't even say genocide against Christians. What they are saying is there is no genocide in Nigeria, no mass killings, on the altar of maybe religion or tribe or all of those things. But I'm sure, even if it is not against Christians or Muslims, as some are saying with their own fact, according to their own narrative, how do you explain whatever is happening in Benue? In Yellowater, you remember a few months ago, and I think we had you on this program, there was mass killings in Yellowater. That was just one of many. People in Benue, people in Plateau, would they agree that when their communities, because whatever is happening, let's contextualize it, Doctor, whatever is happening in Katsina is different from what is happening in Yobe, from what is happening in Borno, from what is happening in Zamfara and Katsina. The issue in Benue and Plateau is different. What they've been having is constant overrunning of their communities, killings, maiming, machete, of even babies that are strapped to their mother's back, burning of houses and all of those things. And most of the time, Doctor, the remnants of these communities run away into IDP camps, and these assailants, they took over their communities. So how do you frame that? Do you think, my question exactly, that Nigerian delegation, are we being sincere with the true state of Nigerian nation, or the delegation is only concerned with the image and ego of the sovereignty of the nation? That's why they have gone there to say, oh, this is not happening. We have problems, but it is not this, it is not this, it is not that, and that is what concerns them. How do you think we are really grappling with the reality of what we are, battling, especially on the plateau, in Benue and part of Taraba?
Well, like I said earlier, we need to be sincere with ourselves.
Are we being
I don't
sincere?
care whatever.
Is the Nigerian delegation in these guys, are they sincere?
Yes. Yeah. Hold on. They went with the mandates led by the NSC. And who were they going to represent? They were representing the person or the office of the president, right, who had given them a mandate, what to say, what to do when they get to America. They were not speaking on their own accord. Please let us know that one. Most of them, 3/4 of them, are security operatives, still 7, apart from Ronaldo. And they go with an order, and you must speak within the mandate of the order given to you. You can't change it halfway. You can't get there and change what you've been asked to do. And that's why there's not just one person going. The other person there is there to checkmate, to ensure that person states exactly what was given to them. But the question here, like I said earlier on, now, if you go to the hospital, you're down, you have certain symptoms. The first question the doctor is going to ask you, when last did you eat? Because the symptoms of hunger, malaria, and typhoid are all similar. So what does he do? He does the elimination game. Then from there, they ask you questions. It's what you speak and what you say the doctor can then use to profile solutions to your ailments. And that's why we talk about sincerity. Like I said, it's not a question whether you want to call it genocide, anything you want to call it. Nigerians are being slaughtered and killed on a daily basis. We all know that one. Whether the country is divided or not, we all know there's a divide in the country based on trust. Who do I trust? Who will solve my problem? Do I solve my problem myself individually, or do I take my problem to the state to solve? Is the state capable of solving my problem? When I'm talking of the state, I'm talking of the country. Yeah. And I say the bane of every government anywhere in the world, and Nigeria is not excluded, is the provision of security for a sitting rate. Mr. President, through his service chiefs, must, underline, must in capital provide security for a sitting rate. Without the sitting rate, who are you presiding over? And that is the bane. Without security, no business, no politics can flourish. All this issue of, we're having convention for 2027 president should all come to an end, whichever political party. The question is, how do we survive as a nation? And that should be the bane of everybody, whether it's the opposition party, if there is an opposition, whether it's the party in government or whoever it is, that should be the bane. And again, too, I want to say here that we need to do something. And these things are not just any, we could be on the highway. You are attacked by a so-called terrorist, kidnapping, abduction. You could be in schools, same thing. Closing of schools is not an issue now. You could be on farmlands, they come, they hit you. So where is safe? Absolutely nowhere. All of us can have visas. All of us can have passports. In fact, having a passport now is an expensive business. You must be rich to have a passport in the first instance. Where are you going to? Is the world safe? Actually, the world is not safe anyway. But the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is heightened, and we must reduce this narrative physically, and there must be action seen to it. And that is just mine. So the world is watching us. The delegation has gone. They've come back, I reckon. And what are we going to do? I've always said security is localized. Well, no matter where the help is coming from, except we're going to hire mercenaries, all we can do is to get the equipment, train the people how to use it, and ensure that this equipment does not fall into the wrong hands. Ever since we've been having these issues, we've not heard of any court-martial that's taking place to audit the weaponries that have been taken out or stolen from the army armory. No, not such thing. So what's going on? So we need to do something seriously and drastically to change this narrative to show that, yes, of a truth, we're interested in the people, and let us restore that trust word back, where the citizenry can begin to trust government.
All right, thank you, Dr. Maha. We'll be taking a quick break now. When we return, we'll dive into some more sensitive parts of the conversation. Stay with us.
Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. Adeoye Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
All right, thank you for staying with us. And right now, we'll talk about the latest issue that has to do with closure of schools in many of the northern states in Nigeria. And that is where we are right now, unfortunately, because that's quite an unfortunate incident.